temple of Freemasons. Many times people say that it is very secretive society. Some people say it's a society with some secrets. Monarchs of many countries, presidents of United States, including our Maharaja was a Freemason, as I understand. We have Mr. Sushil Raj. He is the Right Worshipful Brother, past regional Grand Master of Southern India and head of Southern region. And he is a Freemason to the core. Hope he is going to enlighten us on Freemasonic Lodge. Sometimes it's called temple. Mr. Sushil Raj published a book, Fraternity Eternal. Fraternity Eternal. I think it is one of a kind on Freemasons or Masonic Lodge, published by a commercial publisher. So we are going to have a journey through this Fraternity Eternal as well as the Masonic Lodge or temple. Welcome, Mr. Sushil Raj. I know there are a lot of misconceptions about Freemasonic Lodge. A lot of secrets. I mean, I was very curious about Masonic Lodge and or you also call as temple. What is that secret about? You know, how can anyone be a member? And you have been a Rotarian, and from Rotarian to Freemason, it's a journey of excellence, journey of visionary leadership, journey of transparent sincerity. Could you please share some of those ways of moving from a national or international organization of Rotary to one of the oldest fraternity of the world, Freemasonic Lodge?
Let me first thank you, Mr. Hari, for giving me this opportunity to face the camera and tell the world about what Freemasonry is, and the greatest opportunity to prove to the world what a great institution this Freemasonry has been and will be, which has been therefore from, as you mentioned, time immemorial. I'm almost 33 years in this organization, and you said from Rotary to Masonry. Yes, I'm still a Rotarian, but Rotary brought me to social life in my very young age, and through the Rotarians I got an opportunity to join the Freemasons Lodge, as we call it, and from there my ascent in Freemasonry has been very steadfast and quite enlightening for me, and which made me know more about this great organization, which has definitely made me a better man, a better human being, maybe a better father for my children, a better husband for my wife, and a better employer for my people whom I have been employing in my industry. And
people say that you make good men better, right?
Yeah, I definitely say that it is through my experience it has made me a better man in my life. You yourself said that my journey from Rotarian to Freemasonry has been a very remarkable one. Yes, it's only by every step we have taken in Freemasonry which has brought me here. Regarding the secrets you mentioned, definitely we are not, let me tell you, a cult or a secret organization or something which is like people have misconceptions about. Of course, secrets are there in every person, and today with the technological world, secret has to be there in everyday life. Your password is your secret. If you give your password to someone, you lose your bank balance too. So even your OTP is a secret. So these are secrets just for the membership admission. We don't want a common man or a person whom we don't want amongst us to join our assemblies. We bring good men.
So you bring good men to become better men, right? So you mean it's an assembly of men?
Yes. Why we make it for good men is, it is only good men who can make the people around them better. It is not that we are making somebody else better, we are really bettering ourselves. We have we have so many principles which are taught in the process of becoming a Freemason. And the biggest and most important thing which people should understand is that you correct yourself, you become a good man, and definitely the people around you will be good and they become better. So this is one of the greatest beliefs we have. So we try to bring good men instead of people who have, that's why we have this very restricted entrance into, we have a good admission process where we don't bring in, maybe we won't say unwanted, but people who are not fitting the requirement, whom we feel would not be able to follow the principles and ideals which we practice.
Everybody believe in something, right? One thing very concrete about Freemasonic Lodge, as I understand, any Freemason or a member of Freemasonic Lodge or temple should believe in Supreme God. Could you please share some thoughts on that?
Let me say, let us call it as a mission statement. There's something which Freemasons definitely have to abide by. Is the supreme, ultimate faith in the power of a supreme being and the brotherhood of man. See, we believe in the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man. Without this is the basic principle by which we are part of this organization. No person who has no faith in the Almighty, let it be in any name you call him, we don't have any specific name, we just address him as the great architect, because he is the great designer of this whole existence which we are enjoying. So we call him the great architect. You can, each person in different part of the world call him by different names, but that doesn't mean anything, but you should have an ultimate and supreme faith in the Almighty. It is the most important qualification to become a member of as a Freemason.
Yeah, but if you believe on the Supreme God, there is a conception or a perception or misconception, I don't know, it's only for male. If you believe in Supreme God, the family, all together should believe in the Supreme God, no? So why it is, an assembly of men on these meetings, the family was not included? Is it that true?
So let me tell you, see, I belong to a sect of Freemasons called the Free and Accepted Masons, where we have only male members. But for your information, in various parts of the world, even today in India, there are Masonic lodges for women, and there are Masonic lodges where there have men and women. So that's it. But let me go to a little bit of the history of why.
Please, how this, the origin and...
why men?
Why men, okay.
It's widely believed that the present-day Freemasonry is an offshoot of the ancient stonemasons who built many monuments, cathedrals, and those famous structures you see world over, especially in many parts of Europe and even in the US. It's widely believed that the present-day Freemasonry has evolved from the ancient stonemasons of Europe who built cathedrals, the palaces, and the great monuments which we at present admire as one of the ancient structures of the world. These masons definitely were men, because women were not involved in these kinds of hard labor, where it involved so much of physical involvement or strength needed to be part of this structure, building the structures. And they had a very, very organized system of managing their affairs. It was a time when maybe paper was not prevalent. They had thousands and thousands of people working under one grandmaster. That's how it is. He may be the master planner or the master designer. He gives the plans, and he has a hierarchy of people, maybe 20,000-30,000 people working on a huge structure. And they had this beautiful organizational setup which they practiced, so that every part of the structure became uniform and finally built to a perfect edifice. But how could they manage them? So they divided them into small units, which was called lodge. Even today, you will know that any place where you are putting up a structure, the masons and many other people go and stay there and get it completed. Especially in this part of Kerala where we have migrant labor coming, they're all staying in the place where you are in construction. They live there. There. So, but when in those days when it was when there was no much of rule and law of the land, when people came from different parts of the world, something had to be put into them to obey the rules, regulations, and the laws of the land, and a lot of discipline to be imbibed in them so that their output would be definitely proper and worth coming. So this was really put down by these ancient stonemasons, as there are many principles to be followed to be a stonemason. And his promotion, like he starts as an apprentice, then he becomes a fellow craft, then he finally becomes a master mason.
Okay.
So each step has to be through perfection. It is not only perfection of his work, but perfection of his maybe his moral and other
Responsibilities.
responsible. Not only responsibility is what do you call it, discipline in his life, so that there is a smooth existence and coexistence among the people who work together. Because definitely they were not ruled by any other governing body of the land. So this part of Asian stonemasonry gave so many good ideals for a better living. In fact, you can say it is a personality development program. Today you have in many capsules, in many organizations, you have the HR and all those things. Though they didn't have anything, they simply put it in plain words to these people. And that later, when stonemasons started dwindling, they were all, in fact the stonemasons were all assembled in guilds. They had guilds so that these people were part of one particular place. But later, over the years, when stonemasons dwindled, the other people who were partly involved thought these are great ideals to be lost. So certain principles which they preached were very good for a man to become better, to be practiced in society. So slowly it evolved into Freemasonry, especially not operative Mason. Those days they were called operative Masons. And later they evolved into Freemasons. One more reason for being called Freemasonry, because they never believed in bonded labor. You must have heard about the bonded labor in building in ancient times. There were many times slaves were used to construct many of the ancient monuments. But wherever the stonemasons were involved, they never had bonded men. They were free men. So that's the
reason of the evolution of
becoming a free mason.
So self-discipline is one of the main core values of Freemasonic Lodge. Is it lodge or temple? What is that difference on that?
The word temple has got a lot of meaning in this world, because wherever people go to pray, the most important for Freemasons, where their legendary, the principles are taught through various stories, evolved from the King Solomon's temple, which is said to be built by eminent stonemasons. And one of the grandmasters, King Solomon himself is mentioned as one of the grandmasters who built the temple at Jerusalem. He designed, he planned it, and there were two other kings who supported him to build that temple in those days. So the stories by which we are, there are stories by which the Masons are taught to practice these good ideals evolved out of the building of King Solomon's temple. But temple which the Freemasons really believe in is
place of worship.
It's your body.
Okay.
Body is the temple where the Supreme Being resides, where you have to keep your body as pure, as good, so that every time, we always believe the Supreme Being resides in you. He is omnipotent, He is omnipresent, He is everywhere. If He has to reside in you, your body, which is the temple, has to be strong and a place where peace reigns. So it's in fact an ideally taught that a Freemason has to build his body as a temple where the good Lord can reside, and once you feel that that is the Supreme Being resides in your
Yeah.
neighbor, definitely you will definitely love him, you will adore him, and you will see the presence of the Almighty in him, and that is a kind of chain reaction in people.
So you do a lot of prayers in the temple? You
Of
start
course,
with the
we
prayer
start with the prayer.
and end with the prayer?
Of course. Without invoking the blessings of the great architect, as we call him, the Supreme Being, or we call him the Supreme Commander, we call him the true and living God Most High, we call him by various names. Without invoking his blessings, we never take any important undertaking.
So you pray from the beginning till end in the temple meetings, or in the start with the prayer, end with the prayer, that kind of thing. So anyway, there is a Supreme God, and you're praying and you're assembling, and it is also basically called as worship, a place for worship. What is the purpose of this Freemasonic Lodge or the temple? I'm sure that there is a purpose for everything, right? I'm just curious.
Just like you said, praying doesn't mean that we are praying inside the temple all the time, and we are not part of any religion, because each person, every Freemason is free to practice his own religion. Whatever religion you practice, it is your faith which saves you.
Do you have a picture or an idol, a stone or something?
We don't have any pictures of God or any replicas of any deities inside our lodge.
Okay.
But we open our every meetings, especially in this country. We have the 5 volumes of the Sacred Law, or we call the 5 books of faith. We have the Gita, the Bible, we have the Quran, we have the Sendavasta, and the Granth Sahib. All the 5 main faiths of this country is here. When I had a chance to visit the Sri Lankan lodges, they had the Dharmapada also, the faith of the Buddhists. So when you go to the European countries where maybe the Christian religion is prevalent, they have the Bible there. It is kept there just to remind us the obligations we owe to our Supreme Being. But inside, what we do is basically we initiate or bring in members. That is part of a ritual which we practice. Coming
back to the purpose of the organization, can I call it organization? Yes. So what is the purpose? Every society or every lodge or every temple should have a purpose, right? And what is the main purpose, maybe based on your core values?
So now let me come again to a little bit. In 1717, when in England, a few people got together and thought of forming it as a Grand Lodge or an organization, like you said.
Yeah.
Because they thought the ideals of stonemasons has to be preserved, put into men, and put them into practice. Freemasons definitely believed in helping any other human being. They had this charge told to them that it should prove to the world the happy and beneficial effect of this institution, so that the world may know that a Mason is a person to whom a burdened heart may forward his sorrow, a distress may prefer his suit, whose heart is expanded by benevolence. A Freemason is taught to practice this in any small way. It doesn't mean a Freemason has to be a rich man to share what is. You can do your charity too. Charity means love for the other. It is not what we...
Giving money only.
Not only giving money or only helping a poor man who is on the street. The charity which we have always seen is putting some money for a beggar or helping a person who comes to you for help.
But money is important.
Money is important.
Because you have Masonic hospitals, dialysis centers, and many philanthropic activities. It is not known to public per se. You don't publicize. Usually people give $5 and put a nice news and press release. And definitely you said that it is not the money, it is the love. But you need money to build all these things and to do the philanthropic activities. Who is funding this?
That's again a very interesting question. Unlike other organizations, we don't raise funds from the outside world or from the public. All is the charity which are given by the Freemasons who come for meetings, and most of the projects are funded by them. Those who are affluent may give more, those who have little give less, but it is out of a love for the brotherhood or love for doing good to others it is given. It is like you very rightly said, we definitely believe that we are not giving money for publicity, or even during this COVID times, the Grand Lodge of India, which is the apex body of Freemasons in this country.
What is the name?
Grand Lodge of India.
Grand Lodge.
Grand Lodge of ancient, free and accepted Masons of India.
Wow.
So even in the US, you have so many states. Each state has got a Grand Lodge.
Okay.
So as I told you, we are the association of Masons, only men. The women Grand Lodges are there, and the co-Masonry Grand Lodges are there. But I am only speaking about what every state has got one. In India, we have only one Grand Lodge, the Grand Lodge of India, which has got a sovereign control over the whole geographical state of this country.
Yeah, coming back to the funding, I know everybody can contribute whatever they could. So it is not mandate, like you may have a project, right, for a hospital or, you know, taking an orphanage or whatever it be. You may have a project and you have a budget. And doesn't matter, an ordinary man, I think an ordinary man can become a member, right? So it doesn't have to be an eminent personality like monarchs or presidents of United States like this.
I am quite an ordinary man. I am still one. So everybody like me are there. Majority of our members are ordinary men from every walks of life.
Yeah, in that respect, again, coming back to, you know, all these eminent personalities that you said on this book, you know, that were associated with the Freemasonic Lodge. So only eminent people can contribute, or how these eminent people transform the Freemasonic Lodge to this level at this point. Any contribution from them?
See, very interestingly, this came from, as you know, the Great Britain, because they ruled the world that time. Like they said, the sun never set for the British Empire. The sun never set for Freemasons in the British Empire, because the meeting was going on. See, when they started, let me give you a little more briefing on this history, very important about India. In 1717, when they started with 4 or 5 people in London, within 1730, it reached Calcutta. The same year it reached the United States also. So we were one of the earliest countries in the world where Freemasonry set its foot upon. It was the British garrison, especially the soldiers who were the East India Company in Calcutta, who brought Masonry. And the next lodges were set up in Chennai and all that. That's how it spread. So the British had this long arm to reach wherever the colonies were. And every colony, where the garrison, especially it is through the British garrison that the Masonry spread to many parts of the world. The monarchy, when they saw the ideals which were practiced by or professed by the Freemasons, gave their support. In fact, it is always for the British or the English lodges. They are called the United Grand Lodge of England. The Duke of Kent is always their Grand Master by birth. So for them, he is always the Grand Master.
But many of these things, it was not publicized or it was not known to common public. Recently, one thing I noticed in the Freemasonic Lodge, like this books in a Fraternity Eternal, and I was going through amazing journey, honestly. And I want to congratulate you for taking the lead and giving a revelation or giving more information to the people, the common man, and you know, that is an amazing work. So in that process that you are mentioning, you know, the eminent personalities, and you mentioned about Vivekananda himself was a Freemason. How was that happen?
So I told you about Calcutta.
Yeah.
So Calcutta was a very important Masonic center, and in fact there are very evident writings on how Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was enamored by Freemasonry. His disciples have written about how the Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, whenever he visited the Calcutta city, would go to the Freemasons temple to admire the Freemason symbols. We especially have the way of communicating through symbols, so that it is very easy to communicate. Like we have the square, is a symbol of Masonry. Square teaches morality, that you have to be square in every way.